Hello and welcome to Find Your Freedom, a podcast dedicated to helping you truly find freedom in all aspects of life. Join your hosts and their expert guests as they share practical tips and strategies for finding more freedom in your life. It's time to take control of your life and create the future you want. Let's find your freedom. Here are your hosts, Lenny the Boss and Omid Rad Investor.
Welcome back to another fantastic episode of Find Your Freedom. And we have an ultimate guest, which we like to call friends here at our podcast. But before we go into who she is, we have something for you. We have something for your journey. We want you to find your freedom as well. We have a free downloadable just for you. It's easy. All you have to do is go to findyourfreedomrei.com/freedom kit. That's right. Findyourfreedomrei.com/freedom kit. Go there, download it. Believe me, it got everything in there to get you started, to get you your journey kicking. So with that being said, I am super excited. Omid is super excited about this next guest that we have on here. So let me just tell you just a little bit about her fantasticness before she jumps in to her own fantasticness, because she's just fantastic, right? Now, who is Olivia Tati? Okay, first, she been to over 52 countries, and I love the way she says, and still counting, all right? Second, one of her many gifts is to inspire you to buy real estate, and then guess what? To travel, right? Third, all right, she's passionate about improving the lives of others and creating authentic, memorable experience with fellow creators around the world. So we are proud to have you on as a friend. How are you doing, Miss Tati?
Hello. What an introduction. I'm like, okay. I'm doing fantastic, though. Seriously, thank you so much for having me. I am so excited to be here.
Excellent. All right, so before we jump into a bunch of fun, because I'm just going to let the audience know it's going to be a bunch of fun today, just tell the audience a little bit about yourself if you can.
Yeah, so I actually heard this at a conference once, but I am a recovering engineer. As in, I used to be an engineer in the oil and gas industry. I pretty much worked for the last 10 years, just getting my education and everything to become an engineer. Realized that wasn't the route, so kind of dove in deep into real estate investing and content creation and interior design. And that's pretty much where I'm at, who I'm at, and a just world traveler, YouTuber, all of these fun things. That's a lot more my personality. You've met me, so.
Hey, so when I first, saw you at the, I'm saying Nashville's STR Wealth Conference, so you had a very bright outfit. You stood out. You start walking, and you have this very vibrant energy about you. You're smiling, and it's very welcoming. So, I think there's definitely something special about you as far as your ability to kind of inspire others. So, I want to take it a step back. So I've from another podcast I heard you were a goody two shoe, and that you're kind of like an overachiever, and so I just want to kind of like walk through kind of like that part of your journey, and kind of like how it's led you to kind of where you are today, and how you almost like pivoted.
Yeah, completely pivoted. So I guess a little bit of background information. I was actually born in the UK, and have moved around a bunch. I've lived in 3 different continents, been, as you said, been to a lot of countries. But my dad wasn't really there a lot growing up. And I think that kind of also led to my like goody two shoes. I just like knew that if I would please, people would be happy and excited about it. And I kind of like use that going forward, and just about everything I did is pleasing others. Which has been great and also not so great in some different situations. And that's kind of why I got into engineering. My dad was in the oil and gas industry, so I knew I was good at math and science, and I didn't really know what I wanted to do at the time. I knew I loved to travel, but didn't know how to monetize that. So I was like, well, let me get a stable job. This is kind of what I know. My dad will be so proud of me. My parents will be so proud of me. So got my engineering degree, went and got my master's in engineering too, and started working in the oil and gas industry and realized it was crushing my soul. It's funny. I even have a sticky note from like one of my internships in engineering, and it's like I was sitting at my desk and I wrote down anything else that I can do other than engineering. So it's kind of like always been at the back of my mind. I just didn't, I was never around people who were business owners or real estate investors. So I just like didn't really know that they're like how to get into these other realms of things. But yeah.
Wow, wow, wow. It sound, like honestly so relatable to so many people, right? I mean, think about it. These are the things you just mentioned, you wanted your dad and your mom to be proud of you. So what did you do? You went to college and you got this engineering degree, right? And then you went out and you obviously got a job, in the field. Once again, that thing of pleasing others, right?
Yeah.
You know, and you're doing well because that's what you do. You do well at everything that you touch turns to gold, right? But it wasn't satisfying to your soul. And I think that right there relates to so many people. So what was that first click, to sit there and say, this is not going to be the end all for me?
Yeah, so it was definitely during COVID. I think a lot of people kind of I started working my since I did my masters and everything. I only started working my full-time job about 8 months before COVID start like the shutdown and everything happened. And during that time I was commuting like 45 minutes each way to get to work. I like we started I was at work by 6. So I was waking up at like 3:45 in the morning, going to go work out, taking the dog out, all of these things. I was like, how am I supposed to like this just like isn't sustainable in my life. But then suddenly COVID happened and I wasn't having to do that anymore. Like I had so much extra time and I wasn't exhausted by the time that I got home, and didn't feel the need to like drink half a bottle or a full bottle of wine after getting back from work because I was so tired, and I was like, wait, I have so much extra time. So honestly, I just got a little bored during COVID. And also, oh, here's another thing is I was in $25,000 worth of credit card debt at the time too. And I was like, okay, how am I going to pay off my debt? And also, what am I going to do with all this time? So I actually started studying to get my real estate license. Um, but the thing is, my mom is actually a real estate. Well, she doesn't really practice anymore, but she's a real estate agent as well. But I never knew her as a real estate agent because she started when I was in college. So I didn't really know what she was doing or anything about it. And like, she just never really talked about that as much. So even though like some people be like, oh, well, she had her mom. I was like, no, my mom didn't really know anything about investing or anything either. So it's funny because now that I got into investing, now I can bring my family along and they're starting to invest more and look at different opportunities and stuff like that.
So, I think you're very brave. So you kind of take the step as far as stepping away from this engineering sort of career that's very promising. On paper it looks amazing, and even then, like that, like a lot of people would love to be in your position. So what would you say to somebody who has these feelings where they're like, they think they're not really happy, they want to dive into real estate, but then they're also scared of having that security. So,
Completely.
what would you say to that?
Yeah, it's actually funny because today I posted something that was like, it's okay to hate a great job, and I think I like heard that on a different I think it's actually your podcast that I heard it on. I think someone's.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
God goes wrong.
But really,
No,
and
that was our sound effects in the
no,
background.
but it really is so true because you kind of feel guilty about it, right? You're like, well, I have this really good job and it's stable, but I just like it's just not right. And I think the thing that you just kind of have to think about is, okay, well, what's the opportunity cost there? It's like if I don't go and try something else and I never know, right? Like what are you missing out on versus like what's keeping you there, right? Especially if you know it's not right. And it doesn't mean you have to like up and quit your job like I did. Yeah, like to be fair, I started, investing and I got my real estate license while I still had my engineering job. So I was doing that after work and during lunchtime and doing all and like my big reason for getting my real estate license wasn't even to sell real estate. I just wanted to, well, pay off my credit card debt. And I wanted to learn about real estate investing because I knew that's something that I wanted to get into. Um, so I think like step number one, honestly, too, is going and finding people who inspire you, who are doing the things that you think you may want to do. Because also chances are is you don't actually like want to do what they want to do and there's something else. But it starts getting your brain and your gears working to figure out like if there's another path out there that is more right for you than staying where you're at right now.
That's good. That's really good. And I'm loving this story. So I'm fanning out right now, just to let you know, right? So, for the listeners, I'm in the same boat as you. So I'm trying my best to sit here and be like a co-host and a and a fan at the same time because like you living the regular life of the regular person with the regular struggles, right? And you at a very early age understood, I think, one important thing, which is opportunity cost, you know, and I want to stay there for a little bit because I don't even think people understand what the word opportunity or words opportunity cost means. So if you could, one, explain what that means, and then two, kind of take it a step further and a step deeper because I really think that the listeners can get something out of this.
Yeah. So basically, opportunity cost, and let's hope I explain this right, is just every decision that you have or that you make has a cost. So every single decision, and the decision could be to stay where you're at, there's something else that you're giving up in order to make that decision. So that's kind of what so let's say it's staying in your current job. You could be giving up the opportunity of spending more time with your family, or you could be giving up the opportunity to go travel, or you could be, and so every single decision that you have has its own opportunity cost. Yeah, that's basically how I would describe it.
No, that was very well explained, and I think
Mhm.
kind of even touching on that, it's sometimes I think about, okay, I have this amount of time, and I want to have a job or I want to create some income. So my thought process around that is, okay, do I want to do this job that I can make good income, or but maybe not, I don't enjoy it, or maybe I have to deal with this boss that gives me stress and anxiety, or do I want to do this other opportunity where I don't know where it's going to go, there's a lot of upside, and potentially I can have the best time of my life. So when
Completely.
yeah, I see you, and I see that. So talking about traveling, I mean, 52 countries. I mean, what is that, like in the one percentile,
Yeah,
less
I
than
don't
one
even
percentile
know.
of people, right? Of so explain the thought process around that, because I think I love traveling, and I think people are not traveled enough.
Yeah.
So what are some lessons learned, and why do you do it?
Yeah, I mean, it's so interesting to me because traveling really is like at the core of my soul in terms of meeting new people. I feel like when I meet fellow travelers, people are just so much more open and interested in other ideas and different ways of living. And I feel like a lot of times, if you stay home too much or you stay around the same people too much, you kind of get siloed into the same thought process. But when I'm traveling, I meet this random ballerina who is taking a sabbatical, or this, like digital nomad who's doing this, or a real estate investor, or just like there's so many different ways to live life. And even if it's like meeting the locals and understanding like the fishermen in Greece, how they just love what they do and they spend so much time with their family and they enjoy it. So travel just has always been such a core part of me because I love the difference in the way people live and do life.
I mean, listen, to echo Omid, 52 countries, and I love the way you say counting, right? Like,
Oh,
I love it because that means that, yep, I did 52 countries and I'm about to do 52 more. So
yeah.
watch out, right? So stay connected to the YouTube channel because the
Oh, for
YouTube
sure.
channel, is cool. Like my nephew told me, the other day, which was Mother's Day, he says, "Oh, He called me Uncle Lenny. He said, Uncle Lenny, you're popping. And I'm like, oh, I guess so, right? So I'm gonna tell you, your YouTube channel is popping, right?
Yeah.
You know, but one of the things that I find very special about you, and I think Omid touched on this earlier, is I met you as well in Nashville, right? And obviously there was like mixers after the event of networking. So I saw you and you're this bright individual. You are like shining from head to toe. Your smile is absolutely amazing. I believe that I have $100 million smile, right? You have like $1 billion smile, honestly. And then I'm like, I gotta go see who this lady is. And you talking to like everybody. I'm like, man, I'm like the only person out of like 1,000 people you don't know. And, and, and I guess like, what is the spirit behind that? Because you just mentioned, oh, I go to these countries and I meet these people, ballerinas, fishermen, this and that, and a lot of people inspire to do that. Is there a trick to this trade here? Are there some tips that you can give people? Because honestly, a lot of people want to be like you, especially looking at your YouTube channel. It's absolutely amazing. So if you can give anything, that'd be great.
I mean, I think it really does come back to gratitude. I tell people this all the time. It's like if I died tomorrow, and obviously knock on wood, hopefully I don't, I would I wouldn't regret anything. Like I think I've lived a freaking phenomenal life and I want to continue to live a phenomenal life, and I try to continuously make decisions that make me happy, right? And make the people around me happy. And maybe it's a part of that people pleasing thing, but I love there's just so much bad that happens in this world that I don't want to be a source of that negativity. I want to be a source of that positive energy and joy to help uplift people. And then, things I started doing that help that is like, I write my gratitudes every day in the morning. And I remember there was one time actually during COVID, I used to write a letter each day to a different person. And then at the end of the week, I would package a letter and send it to someone, just like expressing my gratitude for them, just
Wow.
because this life is so short and people are incredible and there's so much to do and see. And I genuinely believe that there's just an incredible amount of opportunity and joy in this world that's possible.
So you gratitude, and I think you have this ability to connect with people. So I think you really seek out some, this connection wherever I imagine wherever you travel or wherever you go, whatever you participate in. And I think people feel that, and I think there's like a genuine connection that you create. um so let's kind of talk about the real estate part in
Yeah.
journey. And so like you dive into short-term rentals. So like, how did that even happen? And then yeah, just walk us through kind of like, that whole process.
Completely. Yeah. So I kind of like what I was saying before. I got my real estate license in it was like end of 2020, early 2021. And at this point, I'm like middle of 2020, $25,000 in credit card debt. I'm like, I'm going to pay off this debt and I'm going to buy a duplex. Because I started listening to Bigger Pockets like everyone does, and just obsession, right? Like it's all I listened to for months. And it's still, I probably don't listen to it as much these days, but still, it's on the roster, right? But yeah, like I started listening to Bigger Pockets, and the long-term rentals, the cash flow on it just was never that exciting to me. And so I was like, okay, how can I squeeze more out of it? So I live in New Orleans. Technically, it's my home base, but as we know, and if you see my Instagram, who knows where I'm at any time of the year, right?
That's beautiful.
Truly. But so I started listening to Bigger Pockets. I had a goal of buying a duplex in 2021. Once I'd paid off my credit card debt. So I gave myself a year to pay off my credit card debt, but I paid it off in 8 months, which was awesome. And then kind of got really involved in the real estate community because I just like met all the different realtors. I like would get sent deals and kind of just like pushed myself into the real estate community that way. So I was able to get my first duplex, which is my baby. I'm in it right now. Just doing some finishing touches before renters come at the end of the month on each side. But
Yeah.
um, but yeah, the whole plan was to short-term rent out one side live on the other side and have it cover all of my living expenses, because I realized that was my highest expense that I had, right? And it's everything that Bigger Pockets tells you, right? Like calculate, and I actually took the time to like figure out what my expenses were, because before that I had no idea, literally zero clue, and was just kind of living, right? Like letting life happen. But but finally sat down, figured out my numbers, got my duplex. It was the best decision in the world. It covers all my living expenses and way more, especially since it is a short-term rental. And then I medium-term rent out my side whenever I'm traveling as well. But then I guess the big thing there with this duplex is I made sure to run my numbers as a long-term rental, medium-term rental, and a short-term rental, because we are in a city. And I'm actually coming out with a new YouTube video about the new short-term rental regulations here in New Orleans, but which are
Nice.
changing. But yeah, that kind of kickstarted everything. And I remember after my first month live with the short-term rental side, I was like, I am a genius. Love it. So I've been doing this forever. So that kickstarted everything.
Oh man, that's so cool. Those moments of genius moments is just the best, right? So you mentioned that you're looking at properties. Oh, and first and foremost, you said you're tuning in the Bigger Pockets, right, on your list, and I also heard that Find Your Freedom is on your list as well.
Yeah.
Put it out there. I just heard that. I don't know, but with that being said, obviously short-term rentals became very attractive to you because obviously you can do more cash flow. So, so you're going through this process, and you paid off the credit card debt. So at that point, like, how did you buy this property? Did you obviously it was owner occupied? Did you put a very low down payment on? Did you use a certain type, maybe FHA loan? Like, can
Yeah.
you kind of walk through kind of that process a little bit?
Yeah, so the cool thing is I actually came out of pocket $0, which was pretty dope. I have a whole YouTube video about it, but basically I went FHA on it, so 3.5% down. It was a $399,000 duplex, which is like incredible, new construction, freaking fantastic. I love my area, I love my people, my neighbors. It was like the steal of the century, right? But then the other thing was, because I had my real estate license, I was able to roll my commission into my closing costs. And then I think I had like $15,000 left. And with that extra $15,000, I did a 401k loan. So I had a bunch of money sitting in the 401k. And also while I was working, I was like, okay, I have this money sitting in my 401k and it's kind of dumb. Like, it's like not really, it's doing fine, right? It's not doing anything amazing. Like, how can I take this money and make it work even harder for me? And so I took it out of my 401k and I didn't actually take it out. I did a loan, which is the coolest thing because the interest gets paid back to yourself. Like, it's
Correct.
literally taking a loan from
Mhm.
yourself. So I'm like, this is a phenomenal option. So I ended up going that way.
So I want to touch on that a little bit because I think there's some listeners who may not have the liquidity, but they have this 401k that's sitting and they have their, whatever money sitting in there. So maybe just like share like a little bit of the process around that so that if the listeners wanted to even pursue that, they can kind of do what you did, and use that type of loan product.
Yeah, so it's shockingly simple. You do have to verify with your employer and your 401k provider to make sure that you can take a 401k loan and what the terms are. Mine, for example, was a 3% interest rate, which is also
Wow.
insane at the time. Yeah, and with a primary residence, you can take out a 30-year like loan, which is also insane.
Yeah.
So with some other loan, like if you get a regular 401k loan that is not on a primary residence, it's usually 5 years. But if it's a primary residence, you can do 30 years. So my payment on it is like $100 a month, which is also insane because I'm cash flowing so much on the property.
Wow.
But then, so you literally, all I did was I went online, I clicked it, the 401k loan link, clicked how much I needed to put, and pressed submit.
So action taker.
I send them just my purchase agreement, and that was about it.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
3 simple steps.
Very simple.
Right?
Very simple.
Website, look at how much you want to put in there, hit submit, and
That's
boom, ladies and gentlemen, that's how that goes. Right?
that's not even a YouTube. That's more of a reel. So there you go. That's
Right?
that's a real clip right there. Yeah.
Honestly, honestly, great.
Yeah.
I'm writing that down.
Yeah.
Right.
Adding it to the content list.
Yes. Yes.
That's awesome. That's awesome. But I guess sticking, with the 401k, because like it's interesting, and I'm gonna say this because what I have learned was, and I'm gonna tell a quick story, but I have learned was depending on the people you are around, right? Is depending on the information that you get. So the individuals that I was around was extremely successful people. I'm talking about extremely, but they never believed in ever touching their 401k. So for me, it never was a decision until I went to this event and I'm speaking to people, and these people are saying, I got 30 doors. I got 40 doors. I got 50 doors. And I'm saying, did I tie my shoe and miss the school bus when everybody was making all this money, getting all this money to buy all these doors? But come to find out, people were using, the money from their 401k and investing it, into basically themselves and betting on themselves rather than, betting on the stock market. So I guess what would you say to a person who is not capital heavy, right? They don't have that much money in the bank, but they have a decent size 401k. Is let's just say it's performing decently for a 401k, if you know what that means. But they really want to jump into this real estate world. So what would you tell them about, using their 401k and how they can make it happen?
Yeah, and there are so many different ways. Some people choose to cash out their 401k completely, although then you do have to pay taxes on it. The nice thing about the 401k loan is you don't pay taxes on it unless you cash it out. The other thing is with a 401k, you can only take up to 50% of your balance in your 401k or up to $50,000. So though that's going to be your limit there, which is why it's great for things like house hacking or things where you can put a low down payment down. So for example, I quit my job just recently. And so I had my 401k sitting, ended up taking the majority of my money. I left $1,000 or $2,000 in there because I don't want to pay back my 401k loan that I have. But I took the rest of my money and put it in a solo 401k. So now I'm going to get another property taking out a 401k loan with my solo 401k. But yeah, I mean, the big thing is like there's just so many different ways. You just kind of have to get yourself in the room with people, either going to conferences, joining a mastermind, going to meetups. I never did that before like September of 2022. And even September of 2022 was a total accident. But now since then, I've been to like 4 conferences and I'm in 2 mastermind groups. And it's been, so incredible just to learn from different people.
So I do want to touch on that a little bit because I think so. Let's say somebody wants to get started. Now they're trying to think creatively of different ways. They're hearing, hey, go to these groups, whether it's like a mastermind. What's like one takeaway that you've had from just like attending any of those type of events?
Yeah. I think a lot of people, especially if you didn't grow up in the real estate world, you don't have other people doing this, right? So it can feel very lonely and you get demotivated very easily because you don't have people to bounce ideas off of and you're not just like constantly consuming this information. And don't get me wrong, like podcasts are fantastic, right? That's like how I started. But really, once you start to meet these people in real life and have folks you can text or have folks you can just like call up or just be in these groups with, your opportunities and your ideas, like your brain just starts to open up and see all these opportunities. Because the opportunities are always there. We're just kind of like blinded by it because we don't know that they're there, right? But when you get in these circles, you start to notice everything that's out there.
And that's great, and let's stay there for a little bit. And if you could, because now you're saying, hey, I'm starting to attend more networking events and seminars, and now you're in 2 masterminds. Can you give us like your mindset going into these masterminds and then comparing coming out of these masterminds, what it has done for you?
Yeah. So I remember the first one I joined, I was like, well, if I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna like if I'm paying this much money, at least I'm gonna make it worth it. So I think especially before I joined any of them, I was like, okay, well, how much? Because especially okay, because here's the thing, right? Is we go to school, and I don't know about you guys, but especially college, I stopped going to classes, and I was so over it because I was like, this is dumb. I am sitting in this room. I can learn everything from a book, blah 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 blah, right? So sometimes when people think that they think it's the same with education, like masterminds and things like that, but it's so different because usually it's a conversation with people. It's not just like listening to a lecture, and sometimes there's like a few lectures here and there, but it's really those conversations that you're having with people, and it's real life things that are happening, real life problems that are happening in people's lives that we're trying to solve in those sessions, which is awesome. And I know for me, it's so funny because one of the masterminds I was in, like people literally like joined months later and would message me. It's like it's as if I know you because I just asked so many questions. Few sessions, I'm like, I'm gonna ask all my questions. But yeah, coming out of it, it's funny because I know like my future self, I'm not there yet, like wants to have some sort of a mastermind because it's just like being able to give that knowledge and those learning experiences and help others get to where they need to go is so incredible. Because everyone's so capable, they just like don't have the tools that they need a lot of the time and the support behind them to get to where they need to go.
Yeah, and you talked about it a little bit, like you don't know what you don't know, and you get in these rooms, and it sparks an idea or that allows you to create an opportunity or help solve somebody's problem. So, I mean, I think about going to one of these recent events, and somebody's telling me about what they're doing as far as their strategy, and I was like, oh, I've never thought of that. And then that prompted me to look into that type of strategy, and it's a project that I'm working on right now. So once it's done, I'm gonna share it. But it's kind of cool to see how those little interactions can go really a long way. So speaking of projects, so I saw you were like painting, and then you had like this transformation of this place. Can you walk us through that a little bit? Like what was that all about?
Yeah, so in the since September, I bought two short-term rentals in the Shenandoah Valley. They're my little
Yes.
babies. And
Cool.
those I actually and I think we kind of touched on it before, like how can people get started without a lot of capital? So those are partnerships with other folks. They're bringing in the capital, and me and my business partner, we're basically doing all the work for it. And yeah, my bread and butter is making spaces fun, cute, and happy and exciting, just because that's not really the norm. I feel like in the industry, you get a lot of like clean lines and modern, which is beautiful. Do not get me wrong, but as we know, me and my brand, it's very much bright, vibrant, colorful, and so we elected to do a lot of the work ourselves for our first properties, just more as like a learning experience, honestly, and to save money so that like our cash on cash return could be higher as well. And we're like okay with putting in that extra work in ourselves. And I have learned way too much about plumbing, electrical, different kinds of paint color, different types of light bulbs. Literally, I'm changing lights in my current house because I'm like, no, that needs to change. That needs to, well, because I've just like spent so much time deep into it. But I know that's gonna like improve my craft down the line. Because we also started an interior design, a virtual interior design business as well. So helping other short-term rental hosts design beautiful, fun, inviting, happy spaces. But yeah, always working on a fun project.
You I like I said, I'm trying my best to be a co-host, and I'm being a fan, right? Because you are so inspiring, you are so encouraging, and the energy, right, that comes from you is just super unbelievable. And I love that you found your zone of genius, right? Which is with designing and making things fun and making things cute. You're taking a place and putting your personality in it, right? Because it works. Everywhere you go, you're fun. You're excited. Doesn't matter. You know, and that's pretty cool. And you just mentioned just about designing. So I guess what is the if I pronounce this right, the Wanderlust host? What is
Yes.
that?
So I started, that's my YouTube channel, The Wanderlust Host. I started it in like November or December. And basically, I there's kind of two segments to it. One of them is kind of teaching newbies about real estate and how to invest. So I, include things about my 401k. I include a lot of things about short-term rentals, how to get started. I included like a video about my numbers actually for my duplex, stuff like that. But then the other side, which I really love, is featuring really cool short-term rentals around the world. So I've got two short-term rentals on there from Mexico, one in Shenandoah. I've got a hotel that I'm featuring next month in Utah. I'm going to Portugal later this month, so hoping to get a few Portugal places on there too. But
Yes.
basically, there's just like so many cool things that people are doing around the world, and I want people to go and experience them because
Mm.
I think that's where like the beauty of short-term rentals is you can really make them a destination in themselves to go to, right? It's not just a regular hotel room. It's not just a place to lay your head. There's so much more that goes into it because it's usually, one-off hosts that have maybe like 2 properties or 10 properties or even like 20 properties, but like so much of themselves and their love it goes into each of those properties. So that's what I'm really trying to feature, as well as like the story behind the host and how they got there to show people that it's possible.
Can I come with you? Like, I feel like I just want to go, like, have a good time in Portugal, and man,
I know
this is
my future self wants to, because I think Sarah Weaver does this, but she hosts
yeah,
like retreats for
Yep.
but I want
Yep.
it to be like around Airbnbs and like staying at
mm,
cool Airbnbs with other real estate investors. And yeah,
no,
That's pretty cool.
that's a cool concept,
I
and
gotta calm down
sign
though
me
because
up.
I'm trying to do too many things right now, but
Yeah,
it's on the list.
there you go, there you go. So if you were to choose like the next country that you haven't been to, what's like the top three, or where are you looking to
Well,
go?
so next year I turn 30 and I have a
Woo!
goal.
Big 30, the big three
I
oh.
know. And I have a goal to reach my final continent. So my
Mm.
goal is Antarctica. So I'm going to do Argentina for my birthday month and then Chile for another month and then head to Antarctica. So
So
that's
are
my
you doing like
next
a
year.
Patagonia sort of thing?
So I'm doing it all. I'm going to do a month in
Ah,
Argentina and
wow,
like that end of that month, I'll end in Patagonia, head to Chile, do that, and then head to Antarctica. But my
man.
actual birthday in Buenos Aires. That's the plan. Getting like an
Oh,
Airbnb for 30 people. All my friends come down.
dang,
I,
yeah,
I,
dang,
Yeah.
yeah.
I,
Party in
I have to
Argentina.
ask,
Woo woo.
Exactly.
when when is your birthday, if you don't mind me asking?
October 3rd. I'm a Libra.
Mm,
October 3rd. It's
I'm
interesting.
October
That's
7th.
actually
Oh my
wow.
goodness.
Look at that.
Yeah,
Look at that.
What's
Look at that.
Libras?
yeah,
Libras in
yeah.
the building. No, listen. Honestly, we can kind of go on and on and on because I got like 30 more things to ask, right? So you have to promise right now that you will be back.
1,000%.
Okay. All right. All right. That's first. Now the second thing here is, what does find your freedom mean to you?
Yeah, I was thinking about this, and finding your freedom for me is really having autonomy over your life, not just letting life happen to you and being just in control of where you're going, what you're doing, and because I think so many people just kind of get stuck in letting life do what it does. And I felt like I was stuck in that for a little bit as well, right? It's like, well, this is what we're supposed to do. This is I like, or you get into this mindset where you just like can't think of a way out, right? But it's taking control because everyone has the ability to take control, and it's not going to be easy. Trust me, it's not easy. But if you take control, you surround yourself with people who are doing what you want to do. That is what finding your freedom is to me. And that doesn't mean having a W-2 job. It's nothing against the W-2 job. I think for some people, that's exactly where they need to be and that's where they want to be. And that's totally okay. But it's not just doing something because you think you're supposed to do it or because you think you're stuck in it. It's having control and actually making goals towards getting into what you want to do.
All right. So I'm trying to look you up, and I have you on YouTube. I have you on the IG. Maybe you're somewhere else in the world. How do people connect with you?
Yeah, so mainly IG and YouTube. Those are my two faves. At the Olivia Tati, so like the THE Olivia Tati. And then the same thing with YouTube. It's technically youtube.com/ at the Olivia Tati, but it's Olivia Tati, the Wonderlust host, and that's Tati TATI. I am on TikTok. Do I know what I'm doing on TikTok? Absolutely not. It goes back and forth between educational stuff to rent. I think I posted like a lip syncing one just today. So who knows what's on TikTok? And then Lemon8, I just downloaded it. I'm very curious and interested about it. It's a new platform. And, as people say, get on the new platforms because you never know where they're going to go. So that's what I'm looking into. And then I'm on Facebook, kind of, really. My Facebook, though, is everything on Instagram just gets recycled onto Facebook, though. So, yeah, that's pretty much what it is.
You're super cool. So for you being super cool, we have a super cool moment that we would like for you to join in on. And that moment is we like to do a boom session, right? So the objective here is to blow some speakers and to really interrupt some air drums here. All right. So how we do it is I'm gonna count to 3, 1, 2, 3, and in a uniform manner, we're gonna yell boom as loud as we can. You got that?
Amazing.
All right. Okay, listeners, turn your volume down because it's about to go down. All right. All right. On 3. 1, 2, 3. Boom! Awesome. Check this out. We just had an amazing show with a friend here. And if you're ever down, if you're not feeling yourself and you need to be picked up by any means, I'm telling you, go to her YouTube page because it's exciting, it's motivating, it's inspiring, and it would take your current mood and automatically turn it around. Follow her. She's exciting. I had the opportunity to meet her, and hopefully that is not the last time she invite us to her masterminds when she have them. So I'm throwing that out on record right now, but I'm telling you right now, make sure that you go and check her out. Now, one of the things that we really need is for you to listen to the episode and give us an honest 5-star review. That's the way that we continue to bring on fantastic guests like we just had right now and continue to bring on other shows. All right. So with that being said, we have a ultimate free download kit right for you. It's a Find Your Freedom kit. All you have to do is go to findyourfreedom.com/freedom kit. That's right. Find Your Freedom, REI.com/freedom kit. Now, with that being said, I want you to share this episode. All right. Share this with your mother, your brother, your sister, your cousin, your aunt, your uncle. Share it with all your coworkers, the ones you like and the ones you don't like. Until the next episode of Find Your Freedom, we talk to you soon. Peace.
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 Thanks for listening to Find Your Freedom. Be sure to subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. While you're at it, please help us spread the word by leaving a rating and review and sharing the podcast with friends, family, and colleagues. Until next time, get out there and find your freedom.